Made it to the maze.
And look what it says up there.
Welcome to office hours. This is amazing.
So it's Halloween. We know what Halloween means for a lot of you. It means that, hey, you're going to dress up, some of you. Some of you are going to go trick-or-treating. Some of you are going to be out there making your own special brew, handing it out to the dads and throwing out candy to the kids. And some of you are going to hide in the back shed and not pretend that anything is happening. But when it's Halloween, you're looking for something fun to do. You're looking for something engaging, and you want to get out of the house. And today we're going to talk about someone who has not only in the last years grown a portfolio of business and merchant services and point of sale, but has also moved from one location to another and has gotten out of the house. And I just learned just a few moments ago is going to a Halloween party tonight. But before we do that, let me introduce you to the true stars of the office hours every week. On the top right-hand side of your screen, Mr. Mike Stetzel. Mike, how are you? And I already know this answer, but I'm going to ask you how you're celebrating Halloween as we get into Halloween. It's Halloween season because Halloween is tomorrow.
It's fun. It's fun to look at the leaves and the fall portion of it. But, Halloween's not been our big thing as a couple. We've been to one party or two. We're going to go to dinner with some friends. My kids are 16 and 18. They've got their own plans. So we're just going to go enjoy some adult time and celebrate it that way.
I love it. And on the left-hand side of your screen, who makes every season better, but making sure that Halloween is a great season, is Jenny Rickle. Jenny, how are you? And I know your kids are now older, so how do you celebrate Halloween?
I like a haunted house. I like to go to a scary movie. I think we're going to do a scary movie this time. So just to kind of do something fun, right? It's pretty nice that it's on a Friday. That helps life as well.
Yep. And I'll share for myself. My Halloween plans are I went with the big candy bars this year. I'm not going to give out my address, but I'm trying to win over the neighborhood, make sure I'm the popular one there. So if you want full size Butterfingers, you can figure out where I live. I've given out those. And Mike, can you introduce our guest in the upper left-hand square of our 4-box here?
Yes, awesome. We want to welcome Jason Horne, who's been a partner of ours for over 10 years. Started almost exactly a year after I did, actually. So I've known Jason since probably that time, and it's been good to get to know him and learn a little bit about him. But we just want to welcome you to the show. Also, it's been a few years now, but one of our white label branded partners was one of the things that I think that Jason did for himself and for his business to, I think, go to that next level. And we just want to welcome you aboard and maybe give you a minute to answer the first question, in 6 parts. But tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your journey. Where'd you come from? How'd you end up here? And then we'll dig for more specific, harder things after that.
Sales journey, I started in college, actually. I started selling Cutco cutlery as a college student. I learned most of the sales skills I learned were with them. It was a very valuable experience for me. And selling in homes and just learned how to get referrals, handle objections, all those things. My first year selling, first summer selling, I was top 5 in the state of Florida. And then I went into their management program my senior year of college, opened an office right out of college in Athens, Georgia, which is home for me, and had great success and great failure as a manager. But I learned a lot about running a business. It's not just being passionate about what you do. You have to be good at the business of the business. And grew from there, ended up working for Brinks Home Security. So I was working and it's still selling to, in people's homes. Was a pretty good experience. It was kind of a necessity at the time. And then ADT bought Brinks and dissolved it essentially. And so I kind of had to find a new job. And I didn't have the time to go and get a real corporate job with salary and all that. Despite my experience, I just needed to hit the ground running. And so I found credit card processing and worked for a company in California. and learned the business there over the telephone. And that was it was a great experience until it wasn't. And I decided I needed to move on due to some ethical things. And, our business ethic can be blurred a lot. Well, we do it right here at PayProTec. I do it the right way. But, I think everybody understands, some of the things that we encounter. So I left for ethical reasons, and I found PayProTec, and I took a risk of starting from scratch. I had just gotten married, and we were newlyweds, and so we went from having customers and appointments set for us to no customers and no appointments, and it was just it was a huge risk, but it certainly paid off. And Cash Discount came out very quickly after that, and being here with PayProTec all these years has been a major blessing to our lives. It's changed everything about our lives, the way we operate day to day, our income, just what we're able to do in life, and it's been an incredible journey so far, and we're very, very thankful.
Wow, that's awesome, Jason. At first, I didn't know that you had sold Cutco, or we've been together in person a couple times. Maybe you told me and I forgot, but it made me immediately think. Last week I was at a dental show, and I walked by two booths where they're both standing out. One was this person selling hair extensions and curlers, and their concept was that they were going to help the hygienists and the dental assistants to feel better about themselves, and that the dentist could, invest in that. And then Cutco was there. And I was like, why are you here? You don't sell instruments for dental. No, they were saying these would be good gifts for dentists to give to their customers. And I was like, which was just interesting. So it was my second introduction to Cutco in a week. But Jason, one of the things, you sold for multiple. You went from, Cutco in college to selling security. And then finding merchant services and payments and credit card processing. What are some of the sales things that are true lines? They're the same, all the things. And what things did you have to learn when you started selling more B2B versus B2C?
That's a good question, because I was just thinking about this one thing that stuck out to me. When I was selling in homes, it's an emotional sale.
Mm-hmm.
You learn people's emotions. With Cutco, it was you're talking about cooking, you're talking about the holidays, you're talking about family. That's emotional, and it was a big purchase because it was they're expensive dives. And then in selling security systems, it's emotional as well, because it's talking about people's fears, how they feel in their home, whether they feel safe or not. And I had this little feeling, this thought that I was like, well, this is going to be great going into business to business, because it's all going to be about the numbers. If I can get the numbers right, I'm just going to make a ton of money, and if I work for the right people, it's just going to be easy peasy. And what I learned is that it's still very emotional. People do business with you for reasons sometimes that you don't even know, but they'll do business with you because they like you, and because they trust you. And so there is a lot more emotion involved than you would think. It's not always just about the numbers. And that was one of the big lessons that I learned early on. It was a rude awakening, but it ended up working out great for me as well.
Yeah, I mean, one, that's talking about the emotion and being in the homes of people. But when you're in their businesses, it's not you're just in their homes, you're in their livelihood and their long last, and figuring that out and how to build that relationship. That's fascinating. I'd love to ask more questions about that, but then the show would go way too long. I'll do one more question, and I'll have Jenny and Mike ask a question. But when you talking about, I forget how long, but you've been with us for about a decade, and you're with this other California company ahead of time. As you were introduced to this industry, are there things that have stood out that you've seen lots of changes? You've been over a decade. You've been part of the EMV transition. You've been part of the cash discounting, edge, dual pricing transition. Are there points that have been tipping points in your career that have led to your success, both with sales, but also this financially of being able to help to grow? Have there been little places or moments that you can point back in the last decade and plus that these are the places that really helped me grow?
There's a lot there's a lot, but I would say the biggest thing was cash discount. That was life changing financially for us because of residual growth there. But the thing that was really monumental because generally I'm trying to help businesses get the small business gets the crap kicked out of them all the time, for a better lack of a better word. But and we lead with trying to help. We want to help small businesses, and we used to go into businesses trying to basically make less than everyone else so that they could save money, trying to get as close to interchange as possible. And we basically could save people the amount of money that would allow them to buy an iPad at the end of the year, which is great if you need an extra iPad, but it wasn't really major change in their business. Sometimes it was, but not very often. It was just a matter of, we're going to give you better customer service. We're going to save you some money. This is why it makes sense. When cash discount came around and we started getting rid of people's bills, it was really phenomenal to watch businesses that were struggling and this was hurting their margin so much, to be able to keep that money and either be able just to have a little bit better margins, or even to add an employee, or to go on vacations now that they weren't able to go on as a business owner because they were so busy and they didn't have the cash flow to do it. We've walked into businesses where we've saved them, $50,000 a year right off the bat, and it was life changing for that particular customer. So the chain that was probably the biggest. If we got here, if we're here long enough, I could tell you other things, but that was the hugest thing. And it's massive. It's a massive thing, actually.
Awesome. All right, Jenny, you ready with the next question?
Yeah, I kind of want to continue on with that conversation. So, when you are talking to a new potential client and they're already accepting credit cards and they are like, I am getting the best deal, I have the best deal. What is your strategy when you talk to them to explain how our Edge program works? Is there a specific pitch that you use, or do you kind of have the same, you know what I mean? Do you explain it the same every time? How do you talk to them and explain our Edge program and how they save money?
Well, it depends on the business. Some businesses are easier to implement than others. The smaller the ticket, it's easier to implement. I started with restaurants, and we've done pretty well there. But almost everybody that we do business with does that now. But when I walk into a business, when I'm cold calling, I just basically tell them I'm here to lower your bill or eliminate it. And eliminating it perks their ears. They're like, "What? How do you do that? That sounds like a gimmick, And I just talk about the legality of how we can do it and how important it is to do it the right way. And we're here to help your business and to help your bottom line. And then I just kind of I ask them what their bill is, and I'm like, well, if you do this with us, and I explain how we do it, you're going to keep that money every month. So it allows you, cash discount has allowed you to not have to rely on analysis as much. It is very hard sometimes to get a statement from business owners. You would be surprised how little of them look at them or don't get them, or they don't want to get them. So when you're going in with not just, when you're going in with getting rid of the bill, you don't really need it. You can use it. It's very helpful to have analysis because sometimes they just don't believe it and they need to see an analysis. And so when you sit there and they look at this, $60,000 a year, and they're like, they see how it happens, and then they see the small impact to the customer and the massive impact to them, then that can bring them across the finish line. But I think we're at the point now where everybody's heard about it. And it's a matter of whether they're willing to do it yet or if they have fears. And so I always go into calming the fears mode. That's still one of the biggest things that you have to deal with. especially here where I am now, where it's a little newer, there's still a lot of fear. And so I was one of the first people to do this with PayProTec, and PayProTec was one of the first in the country to do it. So I remember all of those things that we had to talk about and how to deal with it. And it's like doing it again. It's kind of neat. So it's got a lot of opportunity too there.
Cool. All right, Mike, you're next up with a question.
Quick follow-up question. So you're saying you can tell a difference from where you were in Georgia and where you are now?
Yeah,
It's that noticeable for the customers or the merchants that are not
it
familiar
is.
with cash discount?
It is where we're a little behind where I'm at right now. But
Uh-huh.
it would be like
Just
it's more rural. So if you went into rural Georgia
okay.
instead of Atlanta, it's that way as well. But it is just a little bit different. There's a little bit of people are a little bit behind in technology. We find that they're also much more they're doing business with the big companies. You know, your Square, Toast, and even in Clover, and that's kind of all that you see. You see the biggest companies.
Okay.
They don't have agents in their face all the time. It's not as competitive in that respect, but you're competing with the big companies and all their programs. So it is a little bit different there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. So very cool. So you have a mission almost. So as you've
Yeah.
gone through selling different things, what's been sort of your, I don't like the word secret sauce. What's been your background or your base, that's made you successful for all these things and created great relationships for you and your team and your family? Is there something different that you do or something that you've used as a guideline, or how do you do it?
I think being genuine is something that it sounds cliche, but I don't know that it's as common as we would like it to be in sales. Um, there's this whole reputation of used car salesman type of people that are in our
Hmm.
business. And I immediately differentiate myself from that. I have the ability to speak fast with people, give them a lot of information, but also pull back and be like, I don't need your business, and not in a way that's like, I don't need it, I'm so amazing. Like
Hmm.
without the pressure, and already having an established business helps that. But I lead with helping the business and being a partner with the business. We're here to help you. We want to see you grow. The fact that I have customers that I've watched go from $15,000 a month
Hmm.
go to $65,000-$70,000 a month in credit card processing, and I've walked into their businesses year after year after year and just given them a hug, even, and been like, I'm so
Hmm.
proud of you for what you've done. I have a Haitian couple that have a bakery in Lawrenceville, and they are just amazing people. They're about to expand on do a second location, and I've watched them grow, and it's just been one of these beautiful things to watch as their family has grown, their business has grown. And I'm just so proud of them and so thankful to be a part of their business and to have helped them all these years. So I just, I kind of lead with that everywhere I go now because of my experience. But early on, it was more about just telling the truth. I didn't have the experience I have now, so it was like, okay, I'm just going to tell the truth, which is rare
Yeah.
too. So, but that's kind of been the thing. And I'll say one more thing. My wife has been a huge help to me in my business, and this is it's in the last few years. We grew our portfolio, and then COVID happened, and then we saw opportunity in COVID instead of being beat up about it, and we doubled
Hmm.
our income in 21. And I started bringing my wife with me to cold call, and not everybody can do this because not everybody can work with their spouse. Um, but it helped us deal with the different sexes in the business. You have husband and wives in there. Sometimes you have a male, owner. Sometimes you have a female, It helped us. I'm really good at certain things. She's good at other things. I do most of the talking, but she reminds me of things that I missed or things that somebody said that I didn't pick up on because I'm doing all the talking. And this really helped us. It helped us build deeper relationships. It's less intimidating, actually, which is kind of shocking to
Yeah.
me that, two people would be less intimidating than one. But it seems to have made a difference. But most of the time I'm on my own, but I bring her with me on certain days and certain times and certain opportunities. And I think it helps us.
That's great. That is a great story.
Thanks.
Okay. So I'm going to transition a little bit, but you've kind of alluded to it and we've talked about it. You have made a major move in the last few years. I'll let you choose if you want to tell where you moved from and to, but hundreds of miles away, not in the same area. And given that opportunity, because you are owning your own business, your own clients, and you're 1099, you can make the decisions, but you kind of walk us through, what that's looked like for your business, how that's changed your business, how you build a portfolio in one area and now are building it in a different area. Have you changed some of your models? What has changed for you? What is the same? What's that look like when you've moved and you mentioned it, from more of an urban place to more of a rural place? You can kind of walk us through the story of what that looks like.
Well, we live in Kentucky. We moved here for personal reasons. We wanted more value in a home. We couldn't find it in Georgia in our income bracket, what we wanted, and we got it here. And so that was the main thing. Originally, we had wanted to have a like a second home in this area or Tennessee. Now we're probably in the future going to have a second home or an investment property in Georgia. So, but we made a wholesale move. One of the hardest things I've ever done in my entire life, but totally worth it. What I focused on immediately is focusing on my Georgia customers and making sure that everything is good with them. I'm back there, at least I would say probably once a month. Um, Sometimes it goes longer. I am always available by telephone. I I focus on doing things for them that maybe some other people wouldn't do. Like, sometimes technical support is completely up to them. A lot of times I'll just make that call and three-way them in, you know.
Hmm.
So I'm very pro, but I've always kind of been this way, whether I'm there or not. I mean, I've had customers that I would, never, I didn't see them for a couple of years. You have customers that want to see you a lot, and they don't ever care if they ever see you. They just want to know that when they need you, you pick up the phone and you do a good job. And I've always done that. So for me, it didn't matter, where I lived, especially since I'm not that far away and my family's in Georgia. I have a place to stay there whenever I go. And I go back regularly. And I'm a huge Georgia Bulldog fan. I had to throw that in there. We go back for games and whatnot. So
Absolutely.
there's
Yes.
nothing like you cannot keep me away from where I come from if you tried. And I love Georgia and I love my customers. I'm very thankful for them and have really good relationships with them. And some of my relationships with them have deepened since I've, moved. But we are focusing on up here and we're focusing on building relationships within the community. And we're working on some bigger things with big relationships that will be a lead source for us. And so that's we're still cold calling, but we're working on some big stuff here, and we're also working on trying to develop some sales reps that can cover some other areas, Georgia, but as well as areas around us. We're more centrally located now, which I think is a good business move for us, and I think we'll be able to expand from better. I think a little bit better from where we are than if we were where we used to be.
All right, I'll do one more question, then I'll let Mike and Jenny follow up. As you've moved, you obviously have a lot of strategy, a lot of plans, a lot of opportunities. Were there any surprises to the sales process, to the cold calling process when you moved from Georgia to Kentucky, or did things just kind of feel like it was a good fit and everything just kept moving the way it was?
I think the surprise to me is, in our country, we have all these states that are almost like little countries. Yeah, there's a lot of similarities, but even within southern states, cultures are not exactly the same. And it's been kind of fascinating to see that people really value relationships, and we were able to secure very early a prominent business of whose owners know everyone in the area, including further in the state. And we were able to do that just by being really genuine and having technology that is better than what they had. And that's one of the things I'm thankful for our POS team and for PayProTec. Always been on the cutting edge of technology. I think there's things that we still need because everything's moving so fast. There's still a couple things we need, but there's very rarely a time that you walk into a business and you don't have something to give them that PayProTec can offer. And so that is a wonderful thing. But people here they're a little more relational. I would say that earning their trust is a little bit slower, but they're open. They're really open to do it. And I think that works for us based on our personalities and how I lead. Lead with sales.
Awesome. All right, Jenny, what's your next question?
So you, Jason, you had a lot of success, right? You've been in this industry a long time. I'm curious, are there any failures that have really like stuck with you throughout the years where it really helped you be a better sales partner and be more successful? Whether it was like an account that you lost or just an experience where you could have handled differently with equipment or something like that. Do you have any failures that really just stick out to you?
Yeah, I would say. I mean, how long do you have? No, I'm just kidding. You can't be successful without failure, and
Exactly.
being able to understand it and grow from it is important. Um, I think one of my biggest regrets is going for something cheaper in the POS department to try to save someone money. And this business had money. It was a big account, and I tried to go the cheaper route, and it cost me. And I lost the account because I could have something more expensive in there that would have been a better fit. And I was so focused on saving money and doing the cheaper thing, and it bit me in the rear end. And you get what you pay for.
Yep.
And not naming any names here, it's just one of those things that I've realized, that to not be afraid of giving somebody something that may cost a little bit money, because a little bit extra money, because in the long run they're going to appreciate it, and it's going to be less trouble for everybody involved. That's one of the big things. There's so many little things. Sometimes in residual income, you don't check up on every little account like you should. This life that we live is pretty amazing. I check my account every single morning, but I don't do it with the detail that I do at different times. And so sometimes things can fall behind the cracks a little bit. I would say that I think an improvement that can be made everywhere would be if our POS companies were able to email us or contact us whenever there's an issue, like they do, like NAB does when our regular customers call in. That would be very helpful, because the most of us that care about our customers are ready to jump on something and help. And being out of the loop makes it a little bit challenging sometimes. I always want to be in the loop, even if it's a bad thing, because I
Yep.
want to help.
That
I
is a
love that.
great point.
Yeah,
Can I follow up on that just a little bit? Um,
sure.
Jason, the thing that you described about, well, I got in the cheaper one. And I talk to a lot of people, and because I do training, I talk to a lot of people that are newer or at least greener in not just giving away a terminal. And so can you offer a thought to say, okay, you know what, guys, don't be afraid to tell somebody something's going to cost them money is what I'm getting at. What goes through your head when you're explaining that to a customer, and you're even saying, hey, I did it, Mike, I did it before. I thought, man, this is the best deal. I want to show that to them. Nobody wants to spend money, but here's why I should have. I don't know, is there something you can say about that?
It's hard to come up with some kind of line on this right now. I just
Okay.
think if you can just walk people through the potential pitfalls of having something that's not as high quality, or doesn't have as many features. I think being able to grow, if you're putting technology into someone's hands that they can grow with, and you're emphasizing that, rather than just getting the sale, you become more of a partner with them in their business than just setting them up and moving on. And so, I always want to put technology in a business that allows them to grow. And I do talk about it a lot because I talk about them growing. And it's like in the restaurant business. We're talking about online ordering. So
Mm-hmm.
we don't just want to put a simple little bit, and most of them do it now, but it wasn't always the case in the past. So instead of putting something simple in, we want to put something in that allows their business to grow online, to be able to do more, and to make more money. And when you go in and you start talking about them making more money, instead of just, I'm going to save you money, I'm going to give you great customer service, when I start talking about how to make them more money, then I really set
Mm-hmm.
myself apart from all the other people because I'm trying to help their business. I am more of a business partner because I want them, they really can feel that I want them to succeed. And I do. I want them to succeed because I love to see businesses succeed. It's something I'm passionate about, but it's also because we make more money when they do more volume. So it's a beneficial for everybody to do that. And so I try to focus on that, on technology that'll do that. And then I just explain that it'll cost more, but we're going to make more.
So I think part of it's education then potential, and I think, and that's why I encourage partners that are curious about POS and their first response, oh no, that's too much. Well, what
Mm,
do you mean it's too much? How do you know? Do you operate a restaurant? So I encourage them to
mm,
sit with somebody from the POS team and walk through that. So I think it sounds like you've obviously over the decade become smarter about what restaurants do and
mhm.
things like that. So well, I appreciate that viewpoint.
All right, we'll
Yeah.
wrap up with a couple last questions. Mike and Jenny, you both can do one question. I get, because I'm in charge of the buttons here, I'm going to do a three-parter, one question. But I think it's a good one. Is there a number one, Jason? Is there a vertical that's the easiest for you to sell, and you're like, this is like it's low-hanging fruit. It's like stealing candy from a kid. I can do this all the time. Is there a vertical that's been the hardest for you to sell and maybe you've stayed away? And is there a vertical that you want to sell that you haven't attacked yet?
Hmm.
Oh, I like it when I get them. It's a tough question.
Yeah.
Tough journalism right here.
I've all it's hard to easiest one is hard to answer because there's multiple easies, I guess. Putting a terminal in somebody's business and
Yeah.
getting rid of their bill and being able to like say, here, this is easy to implement. Uh, that's pretty easy for me, and you can pick the business. The void, I'd say the voids. There's two things that I've always wanted. I've always wanted liquor stores, because of volume,
Mm-hmm.
and they've just been very difficult to get into because of liquor stores. They got to do what the other guy's doing, and so it's almost like you have to get into a group, or you have to be very fortunate with one, and then others follow. I've had a store that sold alcohol, but not an actual liquor store. So that's kind of one of those things that's just kind of evaded me, and I stopped worrying about that. But it would be nice, but it's not a focus anymore. It was for a couple of years, and I came very close to landing a very large liquor store that was like a couple grand a month residual and $500,000 a month, on a regular month, and it was very close. They were from Kenya, which is where I was born and raised, which we didn't talk about today,
Yeah,
but
we're not there
um,
yet, right?
so that was but then they sold their business. We were this close, and then they sold their business to somebody who wasn't from the area, and they didn't get to do it. But the other thing is, but it's something that I'm working on that is big here, and it's all about relationships. It's who you know, as they say, not what you know, I guess. But um, we're working on a relationship with small banks. And that's something I've wanted for over a decade, is a relationship with a small bank and being their processor, and we're very close to making it happen. And so
Very nice.
that's one of, that's a great opportunity for us. I'm bringing them revenue. Most of these banks get paid tiddlywinks, and we're going to give them substantial money, and we're doing all the work, taking all the risk. It's kind of a no-brainer. So we're working on that, and if we do that well, we're going to duplicate it.
Awesome.
Yep.
All right, Mike and Jenny, do you guys have a last question before we close up with our final word for the day?
I do.
Jason,
Go ahead,
what
Jenny.
is your favorite part about your job? What do you love about it?
Great question.
It's funny. I was never the best math student, but I actually have a mathematical mind. I enjoy the numbers and getting into, the savings. It's kind of fascinating to me. But the thing that I enjoy the most is the relationships with the business owners, and really helping them. I have developed friends that are business customers of mine, and that's probably been the coolest thing. These are people that I would never know or ever had access to, that are incredible people that have been a help to my life, some have even mentored me, and I've mentored them, and I would have never known them if it wasn't for what I do for a living. And they've been a blessing to me, and hopefully I've been a blessing to them. That would be the number one thing that I appreciate here, is the relationships. And like I said, I'm just thankful for all the people that have trusted us over the years, and are continuing to do so. We're still writing business in Georgia. We're going to grow in Georgia still, and we're going to grow here. So we're just going to keep doing what we do and helping businesses as much as we can.
All right, Mike, last question.
Yeah, after hearing you now, and I don't get to talk to you often enough, Jason, or I don't talk to you enough I should. It's
We
good to
can, if
hear
you
your
want.
story. We should. I know it's a simple thing, right? It's the
Yep.
2000s. But listening to you talk, I can see, and like I mentioned before the show, is tell us a little about your background as a younger person, and then growing up older than that. Even I think you can tell, where that has affected you in your life, and how it puts you in a really nice spot for your business. If you don't mind sharing a little bit of that.
Sure. Well, I was born and raised in Kenya. My parents are missionaries. And so being a Christian and putting God first in my life is very important. One of my passions is actually, the more we make here, the more we're able to give to my father's ministry, who he's still in Kenya. He is winding things down. He's 70, almost 75 now. And so we give to one of his missionaries. It's one of his missions that it's an orphanage. And my wife and I were not able to have children. Our dogs are like our kids, and so we give to this orphanage, and we're their primary donor. And PayProTec has allowed us to be a huge donor to that ministry. But growing up in Kenya was a huge blessing. I went to an international school, British school, but with people from all over the world. So I understand a lot of people. I can walk into a business that has Indians in it and relate to them, Black people, anybody. God has allowed me to be around so many cultures. And so I think that's an advantage. I think my story, people like to hear it. Not everybody, was born and raised in Kenya and is white. so, um, so, and I joke
No.
around. I'm like, I'm an African American. I speak Swahili. I live there. My parents still live there. It's a nice joke. It's a great icebreaker. But growing up there, it made me different. and sometimes being different is helpful, and everybody has something about them that's different. You can lead with those things when you talk to people, and people will pick up on it. But for me, it's a great conversation starter, or middle of the conversation that people find interesting, I guess.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jason. All right, we'll close up with some closing comments, but the real final word is making sure that Jenny has the
What's the final word, Jenny?
First of all, Jason, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. It's been a really great time talking with you today. And I hope that everybody has a great weekend, right? The last week of October. So a new month coming up. We will be here next week. So come check us out, and hope everybody has a great rest of your day.
Awesome. And Jason, thank you so much on behalf of PayProTec and trusting us with your business. It's been great to work together, and it'll be great to work together in the future. The fun about this is we kind of get certain points of checks and we see things grow. And when you start having a decade of business together, you see a lot of ups and downs and growth. But now you see the journey and get to kind of see it from afar. And we're just thankful that you've chosen to be part of what PayProTec does, and that we get to walk alongside and see how you grow and grow your business. For Mike Stetzel, for Jenny Rickle, we'll be back noon next week right here on YouTube. You can watch it anytime. We send you the links. Most of you watch it afterwards, but thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.